All right, guys, I wanted to do something a little bit different this week. In Amazon, this thing just kept popping up in my feed. They're doing a good job of promoting this or sponsoring it or whatever, but it just wouldn't go away. Every time I looked on Amazon for amplifiers, this thing kept popping up. And it was cheap enough. I was like, yeah, let me grab that. So it's the Pyle, what is it? The Invincible Series, INV139A. It claims to be 2,000 watts. We already know where that's going. Monoblock, MOSFET. It's fairly light. PyleUSA.com. There's that side. Invincible Series. What about the back? All right. We've got some stuff on the back. What have we got here? Class AB. What else? Okay, right here in the middle. Technical specs. 350 at 4 ohms. 650 peak at 4 ohms. 900 at 2 ohms. And 2,000 max at 2 ohms. Wow. Those are some big claims. Let's get this thing unboxed. I haven't even opened it up yet. It just come in this week. I've had it a few days, but I haven't taken it out of the box. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So we've got an owner's manual with an extra fuse. What size is that fuse? It's kind of hard to tell. Screws, washers. Okay, we've got an adapter here. Looks like a, yeah, high to low. How about that? Let's see what those inputs look like on this thing. That's got me wondering now what the inputs are gonna look like. Let's get that box out of our way. There she is. Guys, it's light. It's really light. All right. I tell you, I like the colors. That blue, black, and white looks good, but this thing is light. Look how simple this is. Power input. We've got the fork terminals over here. We do get the bigger ones, the larger for the battery and ground. One set of speaker outs. That's a 30, yeah, it's green. 130 amp fuse. That gives us a little indicator. Look at this. We've got pass-through RCAs. A gain, a bass boost. It's a switch, 0, 6, and 12. A low-pass filter from 50 to 250. And you can turn that on or off. And they give us a subsonic, which is basically a high pass. How about that? So you can create a bandwidth for your music to not play too low or too high of frequencies. At the back, it passed the quality check. I see some guts in there. I see a transformer. We may have to take the back plate off of this. We may try this at 1 ohm. We'll see how it goes with the 4 ohm and 2 ohm first. But somebody commented on my video yesterday on the Autotech. That was a 2 ohm amp. And it was just a cheap amp, and I didn't go any below the 2 ohm rating on that amp. And I don't do that a lot. I know that Derek does. Big D, he does the low ohm tests on most of his amps. Not all. He had one recently that he didn't do a low ohm test on. I was hoping he would. But that's something that I rarely do because, to be honest, guys, I don't like to blow an amplifier. I normally try to sell these things and get some of my money back. But this would be a good candidate to see if this amp can do less than 2 ohms. But guess what? First, we got to see if it'll make it through the 4 ohm and the 2 ohm. So let's get this thing put on the dyno, get the gain set, and see what kind of power it does. All right, guys, real quick here before I get it hooked up. Here's the amps that are in this series. We've got the 2,000 watt one channel, which is what we have. We've got a 3,000 watt one channel, a 1,000 watt two channel, a 2,000 watt two channel, and a 2,000 watt four channel. Also, the specs in the book, it gives us that same 350. Let me get a little closer. 350 at 4 ohms RMS and 900 at 2 ohms RMS. It doesn't give us that that peak at 4 ohms and that max at 2 ohms, but these do match up with what the back of the box says. All right, that's it for the manual. There's some other stuff in here, but I'm not going to bore you with that. All right, guys, let's do a first turn on just in case it don't. And I got to looking, and I was like, this thing, you can't tell me this thing don't even have a light. It appears that this is a light. Let's give this a shot. Let's see if this is the light. 3, 2, 1. Oh, yeah. Wow, that looks really cool. I like that. You know, to me, that's a little less boring than just a simple little light on the end. So at least they did something different there. All right. Let's finish hooking it up. Let's set the overlap and see what it does at 4 ohms. All right, guys, we got it wired up. We're fixing to do the 4 ohm run. I wanted to talk to you for just a second about what I paid for this amp. I looked it up. This amp was $60.13, and to my door, $64.94. That's on Amazon. Of course, I'm a Prime member, so shipping free, but that extra $4 and some change was taxed. So we're talking about a pretty cheap amp here. If this amp survives these tests, I'll probably put this thing on Marketplace for about 40 or 50 bucks. I always lose money on pretty much every amp. I don't ever scam anybody or lie about what I paid for something or try to get over on somebody. I don't know. Speaking of little story time here, somebody was griping about the length of my videos recently and talking too much and all that, and I can't lie, guys, that makes me want to do that a little bit more. I'm kidding a little bit, but last week's video I was talking on the Scar 800 about how sometimes I'll get an amp in and I'll only have it about 3 days. Sometimes I even unbox it on a Saturday morning on video like I'm doing right now, and that thing will be sold either later that day on Saturday or maybe the next day on Sunday. So just making the point that literally sometimes I only have these amps for 3 or 4 days, and sometimes they'll sell the same exact day that I cut the tape on the box. And of course, I tell people that when I meet with them. I'm like, hey, dude, literally, I've only had this thing for 3 days. I opened it up this morning, or I opened it up yesterday. I was talking about that on the Scar video, and sure enough, I did my videos on Saturday. I put the amp on Marketplace on Saturday, and I met with a guy in person on Sunday, and he bought it the next day. That was an amp that I only had in my possession for probably about 4 days, maybe 5 total. But that's what I do with these amps. Anyhow, is this thing invincible? I don't know. That's a heck of a name to put on there. Hopefully it's got some good protection in it to call it that. Is it a Pyle? Guys, if you're going to come up with the name of an amplifier, I don't know who gave the thumbs up back in the 80s or whatever to call these things Pyle, but somebody did. It kind of reminds me, there used to be a car dealership in town. I live out in the county, but in one of my closest towns back in the 90s, it was called Screws Motors. And I can't help but think that, that the guy did that on purpose to have a little fun with it. I'm not real sure. But if I was coming out with an amplifier company, I'd probably be a little careful to the name that I come up with especially these days. All right, enough rambling. Let's turn this thing on. Let's do the 4 ohm test. All right, guys, this is the 4 ohm test. We're going to give it some strong voltage, 14.8. Again, my son's Camaro charges at that. For you guys that think that's too high, we're going to capture the current. 40 hertz test tone. This is a Class D monoblock. No. It's a Class AB monoblock, but it's made for the low frequencies only. So we'll be doing 40 hertz. Let's unpause the track and see. Can it do that 350? Or the box also says 650 peak. Can it do either one of them? Here we go. What's it gonna do? $140, $150. It jumped a little bit right there at the end. The voltage never dropped, and it only pulled 22.8 amps of current. All right, sit tight for a second. Let's see what it does dynamically. It did 150. This is not right. It did 150 uncertified. Okay, 40 hertz burst, which is dynamic. What's it gonna do? 150, is it gonna be the same? Yeah. Same exact power. So that's a long way from that 350. Let's see what it will do at 2 ohms. All right, guys, we're wired to 2 ohms. At 2 ohms, it's rated 900 RMS and 2000 max. I don't know. Let's see. Starting off at that 14.8. Will it do 900? $234. 234. The voltage only dropped to 14.7. The current draw was 36.9. Ooh, boy. Guys, let's do the dynamic test. Dynamic, what's it gonna do? $238. Is that all she's got? Yep, that's all she's got. All right, guys. Hey, look, let's do the 1 ohm dynamic. If it survives that, we may do 1 ohm certified. All right, guys, 1 ohm dynamic. What's it gonna do? What's it gonna do? Oh, did do a little more power. Is it gonna survive the test? Looks like it is. Wow, is it invincible? Guys, let's try 1 ohm certified. All right. You know what? I think I'm gonna go all the way to 1 ohm clipping. Shoot. Let's see if it really is invincible. Unpause the track. Oh, uh-oh, it shot the fuse. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. It shot the fuse and the blue light went out at the same time, but it did blow the fuse. So y'all saw though on the test, I think it had done the certified number before it blew, and I think it might have even got to clipping. I'll have to go back and watch. It held up to the test. It said it would hold up and a little bit more. But is it invincible? No, but gosh, guys. I'm going to go back and watch the video and probably talk about that a little bit. But, yeah, let me do that now. Let me review the footage. Also, real quick, on that run, the voltage didn't drop, or it didn't get below 14.7 anyhow. And it pulled 50 amps, 50.1 amps of current. I'm going to change this fuse out and see if it'll come back on and give us some output. All right, guys, I have changed the fuse out. Here's the one that was blown. Can you see that in there? Anyhow, That's the one that blew. I changed it out with another 30 amp fuse. I have not turned it on yet. Let's turn it on, see if it's going to come back on. I feel like it will. Yep, blue light. And guys, it pulled 50 amps of current through that 30 amp fuse. So of course it's gonna blow. Also, I reviewed all the numbers and it did 150 at 4 ohms. It did that uncertified and dynamic. It did at 2 ohms, it did 234 uncertified and 238 dynamic. And at 1 ohm, it did just a little bit more, 239 certified. So, and 264 uncertified. That was when it blew the fuse, and it did 310 dynamically at 1 ohm. So, to do some of that 1 ohm stuff was pretty good for this little amp. I'll say this, guys, this amp is more powerful than maybe my first couple of amps. I don't really know. But what a great little starter amp for somebody. Somebody young that maybe wants to put something in their bedroom or their first vehicle and put it on something small. We're going to hook it up. I think maybe we should hook it up to that, maybe a single SCAR 12. We can be at 2 ohms. And gosh, what's this little thing going to do on a SCAR 12? You know what I mean? But what a great little starter amp that's very simple. The controls are really simple, cheap. So if you was to mess it up, you know, you're not out a lot of money. But it came on. Let's give it some juice and see if it's going to give us any output here. Let's unpause the track. This is some 40 hertz. I'm not going to turn it all the way up. I just want to see if it's giving us any. Yeah, this amp is still working. This amp is still working just fine. Let's roll it over there to those subwoofers and hook it up to a single SCAR 12. All right, guys, here we go. We're hooked up to the single SCAR 12. It's going to be the one on the right up there. Let's unpause the track, see what she does. Guys, I'm kind of impressed. This little thing, I mean, look, it's not a lot of power, but can you have some fun with this thing? Yeah, sure you can. Is it a great starter amp? I definitely think it's a really good starter amp. This is better than the first couple of amps that I had. And you're hearing a lot of those frequencies coming through, those higher frequencies. I've still got the filters opened completely up. You know, when doing some of these subwoofer tests, I might should change that. But yeah, it's still, though, according to the settings there, plays up to 250 hertz. We've got the low pass actually turned off, but you know, this is not a full range amp. But if you were noticing that you were actually hearing the highs come through that subwoofer a little bit more than normal, I agree with you. It was, but still, this thing was made for the low frequencies. All right, guys. Well, that's what you get there with the Pyle Invincible Series INV139A. Hey, let me know what you'd like to see next on the channel. I love y'all's suggestions. Let me know. Give me some some feedback. What amps would you, or anything else? But I know most people want to see the amps. What amps would you like to see on the channel next? Hey guys, as always, thank y'all so much for watching. I almost forgot to show the guts. I can't believe that y'all didn't remind me to do the gut shot on this one. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Bam. That's what you get. Y'all tell me what you think. It's pretty skimpy. I'll be honest, guys, I've seen skimpier, but that's it. Class AB, monoblock, couple 100 watts, 200 to 300 watts. All right, guys, thanks for watching.